All right. It's been a little bit. Got a new phone here, so I'm trying to figure everything out on it. But it's been a few days since I did one of these. I've been pretty busy with the job and everything, and hopefully everybody out there is doing pretty good with all their lockdowns and stuff, and keeping your social distancing and keeping yourself healthy. But I got my opinions on that. That's exactly where we're going to stay. It's just with me. But I've been asked a few things. I've been asked a few questions on things to bring up. The one thing I want to bring up to you, no matter what you do, is always remember your state laws. Always, wherever you're at, look up the state laws. Make sure you're following the laws in your state when it comes to carry, when it comes to ammunition. I talked to an officer in New York when I was there this last week. We were in the airport, and he told me, he goes, I was traveling with my firearm, and he told me, he goes, a lot of people being arrested in New York City at the airports, especially, are law-abiding people. He said when they carry their firearms into the state, say they're doing it legal, they transport it in the way they're supposed to. They have all the ammunition, magazines, everything the way they're supposed to, but they don't have a permit for that firearm in that state. And they're going there to visit family or something on that order, or be there for an extended period of time, even if it's just for a week or so. And you come back in the airport, and they have to contact law enforcement. You're checking your firearm, because law enforcement will come check your weapon. And they ask you, well, how long have you been in the state? And you tell them, well, I've been here a couple of weeks. Boom, they arrest you. He said it's horrible. They have to arrest law-abiding citizens like that. But the key thing you need to tell them when you're there is, I'm just passing through. And they'll let you go. But that's your gun laws in some states. And those guys are the officers there are pretty fed up. But their hands are tied when they go to the airport and they see a firearm. And the law is the law. Their hands are tied, so you can say they're not following the Constitution, or they're violating the constitutional rights. But when it comes to the law in the airport, their hands are tied when it comes to that. So when you get ready to travel, do so with the knowledge of that state and the laws in that state. So with that being said, let's move on to some of the things that's been asked. And I'm going to put you guys through some scenarios. I want you to think about these scenarios when you're carrying your firearm and when you're with your family or even by yourself. So I'm going to throw you a few scenarios to think about, kind of homework. I'll give you my opinion on what should happen on these scenarios, but I want you guys to think about these things. I want you to make comments. Go down, subscribe, get online here and make some comments on this. I would like to learn myself on what your thoughts are on some of the things I'm going to tell you. First things first is something we haven't had in a while. That's called active shooter. I wonder why that is. But anyway, an active shooter scenario, you're in a mall, you're in a store, you're in Walmart, wherever you're at, and you hear shots fired and you're with your family. You're armed. What do you do? What do you do? If it's a distance away, what do you do? I know what I'm going to do. And my opinion on this is, even being a current law enforcement officer, I'm taking my firearm out. I'm going to have it with me. My family is behind me, or as we're moving through, I'm going to put them in the safest position I possibly can as I'm clearing a path for them to get out of there. We're leaving. I'll take as many people with me as possible. As many as want to go with us, I will clear a path and we'll get out of there to safety. We will be good witnesses. If the shooter is in our path, I will engage the shooter if he's in my path, he or she. If they're not in my path, I am not on the hunt. I'm sorry, but the reason why I'm not on the hunt is I would be wearing armor. I wouldn't have radio communications with anybody else that's coming in, and I don't go on the hunt when my family isn't safe. And even if I get my family out of the building into a safe position, I'm not going to go inside and go back on the hunt. Again, I'm not wearing body armor. I will get in a position where I can help as much as I possibly can. If I'm in that situation, that individual comes in my direction, then we're going to go to battle. I'm not going to let him just walk away. But my first concern is with my family. What is yours? What do you think you're going to do in that situation? Another one is armed robbery. Say you're in a convenience store, you're on a vacation with your family, you stop and get fuel, you go inside and get some sodas, and you're sitting back there by the cooler, and some individual walks in with a firearm and starts robbing the place. What do you do? Do you go up and take him out? Do you challenge him? Do you shoot him? What do you do? So my opinion on that is I'm taking cover. I'm getting as much cover as I can possibly get. And my firearm's out, and I'm working in a position to take the individual out if he makes any threats towards human life. If he's taking money, let him have it. If he pulls a knife out and he's robbing the place with a knife and you see that the clerk is not in any danger at the time, let him take money. Money's not worth it. It's just not worth a human life. This guy can go into a panic and lash out and kill the clerk. If they have a firearm, the minute that firearm points at another human being, I'm going to drop him. But I have to also, when you do that, you have to know what your weapons capabilities, you have to know your capabilities, you have to know the backdrop, you have to know if your rounds, what they're going to be doing. Can they pass through that body and hit the clerk behind them? Is there any other people between you and the bad guy? All this stuff has to go through your head before you take action. So you think about that. Take cover. Immediately get cover. That way, if the individual does turn on you, you've got some protection as you're in this firefight. But you don't automatically walk up and try to take them into custody. You're not a police officer. You don't have restraints. You don't have body armor. But you always have your weapon out, ready to go to battle. Your family's first thing, put in safe positions. Now, if you're in a convenience store, where are your kids going to go? Where's the safest place in a convenience store? Out the back door, if you know exactly where that's at. But if you're stuck inside the store, think about it. To me, the safest place is going to be the cooler. It's thicker, more insulation, and the kids can drink as much chocolate milk and eat cheese sticks all day long if they have to hide in there for a while. But as you take cover and make sure your children, your family are safe. You take cover, you get that firearm out, you get it ready to go. Don't engage the suspect unless that suspect is putting somebody else's life in danger or your life in danger. If you do see that happening, then like I said, know your backdrop, know the capabilities of your firearm, know the capabilities of your ammunition, and know your capabilities. Have you trained enough to pull that trigger from the back of the store to the front of the store and drop that subject without endangering anybody else's life? Because the minute you pull the trigger, everything that comes out the end of that barrel doesn't come back. So you're going to be responsible for where those rounds go. So make sure you train. Train hard at the range. Put yourself in these positions. Move to cover, fire from cover. Fire from different positions while you're at the range. Fire from kneeling, laying on your back, prone. Fire from behind barricades. And behind barricades the proper way, not just standing behind them or holding yourself up next to them. We'll cover that in our next segment. We'll go out and start talking about some barricades, things like that, because they're starting to slowly open up out there. I can start getting some classes put together. We're going to do some combat classes, hopefully, before the middle of next month. Okay, well, as you think about these scenarios and how you're going to react to them, I want you to think about this one, carjacking. I pull up to a stoplight, there's a car in front of me, there's a car behind me, car next to me. Individual comes up on the sidewalk, and he's walking towards my vehicle with a gun. My kids are in the car, my family's in the car, my wife's sitting next to me, your husband's sitting next to you, your significant other's sitting next to you. What do you do? What do you do? Can you gun it, hit the car behind you, get their attention? You reverse, hit the car behind you, get their attention. If you can get out, if you can move that vehicle in any way at all, drive. Just drive away. Run the guy over if you have to, but get away from there. But if you have to engage them, again, know the capabilities of your ammunition, know the capabilities of your firearm, know your capabilities. If you're going to fire through that window, do you know the reaction of that weapon, that round? How's that round going to go through that window? We've done a lot of testing on this, and I've actually trained on it. Firing through a windshield is not really going to change a whole lot. The trajectory of that round is going to fire right on through. But you also have to know what's behind him. And can I hit him accurately as he's approaching my vehicle? Is there somebody else coming over here? So every time you pull that weapon, if you use it or you pull it, your head's on a swivel. You're automatically looking around. You're trying to see if there's another guy or another accomplice in what's happening out here. So if you put rounds on target, look around. Get your family down. Get them safe. If somebody comes up behind you, are you going to be able to turn that weapon and shoot behind you and hit any individual coming up on the other side? So a carjacking, your best move is to hit the gas. Just get out of there. Drive away. You know, if somebody comes with a knife especially, but if they come up with a firearm, just drive away. Have your firearm out and ready. Be ready to draw that weapon at every time you possibly can. That's another contrary. Before you get to the next couple, the one thing you got to remember is, I've heard this many times. If you pull your firearm, use it. I talked about this last time, I believe. But if you pull your firearm, they say use it. Not all the time. Not all the time. Remember, you draw that weapon out, if that individual runs away, are you going to shoot him in the back? Do you have legal right to shoot him in the back? If he threatened you, if you pull that firearm, he's like, this ain't cool. He runs. You shoot him in the back, you're going to be in trouble. So I wouldn't even go in that direction. So if you pull your firearm, it doesn't mean you always have to use it. You have to be prepared to use it. Just because you pull your weapon out doesn't mean you have to pull that trigger. 2.1 million times a year, people use their firearms to deter a violent act against them. Do you hear about 2.1 million shootings every year to protect somebody? No. Just because they had their firearm with them, it protected them. So remember, when you pull this firearm, you may not have to use it, but you better be prepared to use it. And you better be trained. You better constantly go to that range and train. And I'm not talking going to the range and just standing there at a platform and just putting rounds down range. You can be a great shooter. You can have a target that looks just like that, just a perfect hole through it. Is that going to do you any good in real life? Yeah, it's going to get your accuracy down. But now you got to start training in different positions, moving. You got to start training in stressful scenarios. Take a sandbag and work out at the range. Pull that sandbag, get your heart rate up, get your arms shaking, and then draw that firearm and put rounds on target while you're still shaking, a little bit tired. That's the only way you're going to get that adrenaline flowing. So it's going to give that same type of feeling if you're shooting a weapon in a stressful situation. So let's move on to the next one. You're walking down the street at night, you're alone, and somebody starts approaching you from the back. We talked about this with situational awareness. Always be aware of your surroundings, especially when you're out. If you're out and about and you're moving around, always be aware of your surroundings. So at this time, you got somebody walking up on you, you're always watching them. You're trying to keep an eye on them, trying to see what they're doing, trying to get any type of indication they're coming up on you, or if they have a weapon in their hand, or whatever they're doing. And just be ready. Just be ready at any moment. We used to call it, I can never remember this name. As I'm out and about, I'm always trying to think about what type of driving we did. The only thing I can remember is like a narrative driving. As you're driving down the road, we always have to tell an instructor. This is during the police academy. As we're driving down the road, we're telling instructor, okay, there's parking to the right, there's a driveway to our left, there's a vehicle pulling up on the intersection, there's a parking lot to our left. And what we're doing is we're looking out in distances. Then we have to talk about that could be a good escape route if somebody's coming at me from this direction. If I'm in pursuit and a vehicle pulls out in front of me, I can escape into this section. We're talking about this as we're driving. As we're driving down the road, we're talking, okay, there's a car here, there's a car coming up behind me. So same thing if you're walking around. Same. If you're walking around, you're like, in your mind, you're thinking, okay, there's a great place for cover. Yeah, there's a great place for me to get out. I know where my exits are. I know where people are. There's 2 guys standing up here. Yeah, they're just shopping. They look pretty, they're okay. Well, that guy's a little hinky. Somebody come up behind me in the dark, I may just actually step to the side and watch him go on by. Because if he decides not to go on by, at least I'm prepared to fight. Okay? So if you're in a mugging, or let's even put you into a teller position. You're in a bank machine. You're trying to take withdrawal. Individual comes up behind you and pulls a gun, and you have your firearm on you, and he tells you to withdraw your money and give it to him. What do? You going to turn and fight him? Are you going to draw your weapon and try to outdraw him? He's already got his weapon on you. What are you going to do? That's training. You got to think about this. If they come up behind you like that, it's like, okay, I'm going to give my money until he comes close enough. If I can feel that weapon touch me in any way, shape, or form, I say thank you. And that comes into training again. You can't just automatically do this. But once that firearm touches me, I know where it's at. Now I got to calculate which way I'm going to move. Once I move, that round, if he pulls the trigger, is going to go right on by me. At that point, I better be violent in what I do. And I better be prepared to fight. Right? I call it riding the bull. Once you get a hold of that firearm, you're riding the bull. Because once you get a hold of this firearm in somebody else's hand, you got to control that barrel. Wherever that barrel goes, that's where the round's going to go. If you're holding it like this, fighting this guy, you're going to take the round. If it's like this and you can keep it there, you're okay. If you can get it away from you, it's even better. And plus, when he pull the trigger, the weapon's not going to cycle. So now you can pound him and possibly draw your own firearm at that point and protect yourself. But mainly at the point where if he's got the drop on you and he's smart enough and he's not going to get close enough to you and he's got his weapon out already on you, give him the money. It's only money. It's not worth your life. If you have family with you, if your wife's standing here, your husband's standing there, your significant other's with you, just have them move behind you. Say, hey, don't, well, I'll get your money for you. Just move your family away. Get them away. We can protect them. If anything does happen and you have to fight, get them out of the way. Have some type of agreement with your spouse that just once, if this ever happens, get away from me. Run if you have to. So these are just scenarios I want you to think about, especially when you go to the range, you train. The last one I'm going to talk about a little bit is going to be home invasion. We've had a little bit of this happen lately, especially in this lockdown. I don't know what it brings, what it goes through people's minds on a lockdown. You got a bunch of armed mothers and fathers at home teaching their children, going crazy. Not very smart. Break into a family's home, especially the mothers and fathers nowadays are starting to train and use firearms. So home invasion, you're sitting there watching TV. Where's your weapon? Is it on a stand next to you? Is it on the table in front of you? Is it in a lockbox? Is it on your hip? Where is your firearm? Is your door locked? Did you lock your door every time? Mine's always locked. So, yeah, is it going to stop someone to kick the door? No, it's not going to stop him, but it's going to slow him down enough I can get that firearm out. So if an individual does come up to your door and kick your door and come in the house, think about what are you going to do? At that moment, my family's in extreme danger. I'm fighting the last breath. But what are you going to do? Where's your weapon? What are you going to do from this day forward? Where are you going to have your weapon on you at all times? Are you going to have it on you at all times? Have it near you? Quick access? Where are you going to have your weapon? You have little kids. Can you leave it laying around? Probably not. You want it on you. Do you want to wear your gun around your house all day long? I do. Paranoid? Maybe. But it's okay. At least if somebody kicks my door in, I'm ready for them. The other thing is this, no more scenarios, but I wanted to warn you, there's a lot of fraud going on out there, folks. If somebody comes to your door wearing a mask and gloves and saying they're part of a Corona task force or they're part of a task force to take a survey or whatever it is, don't answer your door. Don't open your door. Don't let them in. Tell them, go away. You don't have to answer any questions. You don't have to talk to anybody in that situation. Tell them, go away. Have your phone and automatically be ready to call 911. But tell them to go away. If they're persistent, just tell them, I'm calling 911. I want you to go away. And also have your firearm in your hand ready to go to war. Don't let people commit any fraud against you. Don't answer questions over the phone. Don't answer questions on the computer. If anybody has any questions to ask you, it's going to be official documentation. It's got to be sent to you in one way or another. You'll know that it's official or not. Anything on the internet sent to you or anything over the phone sent to you, don't listen to it. Please just don't listen to it. Don't fall for their games. Don't give in to these pieces of garbage that are out there doing this to people. They're going to fraud you in any way they possibly can, and it's sickening to me. People are scared to death right now, and they don't need this crap happening to them. So protect yourself. Stay safe. Just don't. I'm a cynic, and that's a bad thing on my part. But don't give in to anything. Just don't believe right now. Don't believe anything being said, even on the media, by anybody. Just right now, just do what's good for you. Do what's safe for you. Sit down and think about it. Talk to your family about different things and what's good for you and what's safe for you. And that's the best thing for you right now until this thing is blown over. But I hate to say this, I think it's going to be with us. We're just going to have to learn how to live with it, and how we can do that, I don't know. That's going to be a future thing. But next time we're going to talk about some barricade stuff. We're going to talk about how to use barricades properly. When I be able to open up my classes, I'm going to actually teach people how to fire behind barricades and move to different barricades. Move to cover, and shoot in all different positions, shoot moving. We're going to learn a lot of different things from failure drills, on how to stoppage drills, magazine exchanges. We're going to do a lot of different things at the range. And those classes, again, I'll be posting them on my website under Lone Pine Tactical. And we'll be getting ready to start rocking and rolling. A lot of you people who just purchased firearms for the first time, we're also going to be putting together a basic firearms class for those who want to learn to clean their weapons, how to maintain their weapons, We'll talk about the right ammunition for their weapons. We'll teach them how to grip. We'll teach them how to do mag exchanges if needed. We'll talk a lot about it. We'll have a lot of classroom in that one, and then we're going to go to the range. Counter-Strike in Pocatello, Idaho is getting a classroom set up, and we'll be utilizing that classroom quite a bit. Once this gets going, like I said, we'll be advertising these things and get people out, and we'll get you to the range. Let me know. Like I said, go down and subscribe. If you like what I have to say, great. If you don't like what I have to say, please don't come back with just criticism. Come back with ideas. Come back with reasons. Teach me. If I've got something you don't agree with, teach me. Maybe what you have might be going better, and that would be a good thing because we can put that in the class. But don't come back and just criticize. I've always told my people when I was working as a patrol sergeant that if you have a complaint, don't come to me just complaining. Come in with a solution, and we'll talk about it. We'll work it out and see if it works out or if it doesn't work out. If you guys have a better idea, if we go out the range, you guys come up with a better idea on how to do something, we'll practice it. We'll try it. If it works, hey, why not? If it doesn't work, at least we tried it. I'm not going to, flush everything that people tell me out down the toilet. And like I said, there's things not going to bother me. I'm not going to take anything personal. So, like I said, if you like, go down and subscribe. Make some comments on here. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you want to hear. Let me know what you want to talk about. And we can talk about these things. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. We can get things out. We can make a session where we can just have a back and forth and just get things going, get our frustrations out. We'll also, beyond the barricade shooting, stuff like that, we'll get into a little bit of physical fitness. We'll talk about what we need to do physically. I've had people show up in my range for some of our concealed weapons training with walkers, and I'll tell you what, they've done a great job. So I'm not going to look at anybody and say, well, you're not physically fit enough to handle the firearm. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is we all need to be physically fit. We all need to get a little bit better in shape than we are. And so we'll talk about a few things, simple things we can work on to make our firearm experience a little bit better. Again, for you new shooters and stuff, we can also, if you want, make a comment down here. We can actually show how to break down several different weapons. I've got a few different weapons up here that we can actually show you how to break down, from the 1911s to just simple Glocks, SIGs. So we can break them down. I can also bring another guy in that he's with me when we build AR-15s. We can show how to do those. And I was actually thinking about getting a kit together. If you guys are interested in this, I know there's a couple other places doing this, but our kits won't be plastic firearms. Our kits are going to be top of the line, and you're going to choose what components you want to put in it. And then we'll sit down and we'll put it all together once we get this classroom put together. And then we'll go out to the range and shoot it. So feedback. Give me what I can use. Help me out, and stay safe. Keep your head on a swivel, and stay healthy. I'll see you next time.